Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the next book summary. Dr. V. Raghunathan, who has authored many books, and one of them is the Don't Sprint the Marathon, a very interesting book with great takeaways. People often use the phrase, life is a marathon and not a sprint. In theory, it makes sense in terms of time. A marathon takes longer and the sprint is very short, meaning when applied to human life, great things take time, so let us not rush into it. The reason for most of the frustrations in human life is that everyone wants quick successes like quick money, fast promotions, quick career success, rapid growth, etc. We fail to realize that life is a marathon and not a sprint. Things happen gradually at their own pace. If we run a marathon like sprint and try shortcuts for quick successes, we will experience a burnout and expectations mismatch will set us an emotional roller coaster ride. Dr. Raghunathan has taken this idea and has expanded on it liberally with a set of real examples and illustrations. The outcome is this wonderful book. An idea which is very different and put together by the author, a great effort by Dr. Raghu. The postulate is that life is more like a marathon, long term, it contains uncertainties, the end goal is not clearly visible, etc., than a sprint. The sprint involves a short run on a flat, straight stretch. It is about the strength and energy. End is always in sight. A good start is extremely important, largely about competing with others and running with you, highly competitive and winning matters. Whereas a marathon is a long haul, it has ups and downs. It is about stamina and mental strength, and end is hardly in sight most part of the journey. A good start hardly matters. It is about competing with yourself, a greater sense of camaraderie. Completing the race itself is winning and satisfying. All parents, without any exceptions, are ambitious about their children and their career. They want their children to be number one in the academics, very good at all sports, general knowledge, very spiritual, well-behaved, etc. The list goes on and on. This ambition, the parents turns to proud and leads to an obsession as the days pass. Because of this, they often push their children to excel in the ways that may help them to achieve some early successes. But certainly we sap their stamina to endure their more difficult challenges, which life may throw at them at a later date. What is more important is our obsessive rush to get our children off the ground and have a good start overlooks the fact that in life, as in marathon, an early lead hardly matters, but being too intent on coming first may leave our children lacking in many of the life skills that is normally childhood would teach them. In the process, the children miss their child life. And in fact, parents don't even ask them and allow them to pursue what they want, what is their passion, what is that they want to do in life. The other important thing is the parents will compare our children favorably or unfavorably with other peers, siblings, and friends. The author expounds that the approach of many parents to parenting as if life is a sprint, and this approach will fail since they were nature of life, that of a marathon, and the tools and techniques to handle marathon is different from that of sprint. Having invested on a chapter detailing the difference between sprint and marathon, the author gets into the core task of admonishing, berating, cajoling, and blaming the parents who, in his opinion, are treating life as if it is a sprint and transferring the paradigm to their children. As parents, what we miss in our lives, we force our children to engage or do it. It is important as parents, we need to be a marathon coach to our children, not a sprint coach, which will shape their children's attitude, belief, self-confidence, self-awareness, and mental strength and abundance in life. Excellence should come more from desire to excel on his or own performance rather than do or perish kind of an attitude. Encourage children to read and awaken them a sense of curiosity, desire to know, to learn and find out. Direct them to explore life and give life to life. Move from facilitate and teaching to learning. Some of these stories and anecdotes in the second half of the book are delightful. Reading about 16-year-old girl who got a portable restroom for the watchman in her apartment complex, or about how Mr. G.M. Rao of GMR Group overcame the trials and tribulations of his early years, will bring a lot of inspiration and aspirations to students, entrepreneurs, young professionals, and leaders. Another example is Dr. Anji Reddy, who put Indian pharma segment on the globe. It is not important to have a great start in your life, but it is important that we make our lives great. Talking about GMR, the author says that there is no awakening or like self-awakening. So true. As an entrepreneur who has created national assets for India, and for him, nothing is impossible. When everyone sees a wall, he sees a door. One of the best chapters in this book is chapter 6, titled Can Ordinary Workers Jog? The entire chapter is about ordinary people who did extraordinary stuff, be it a story of Mr. Mani, who created SoCare, an NGO taking care of children of life convicts in Bangalore, Mr. Subhash Bose, who created an Anubhav to help the runaway children found in platform in Delhi railway station, Art Raja, who created a New Ark mission to take care of people who are close to their death, Kishore Rao, a successful corporate executive who is in retirement, created Karunashraya, a rest home facility for cancer patients, most of whom are in advanced stages with a life expectancy of less than a month. 100% visually impaired Mahantesh, who started the Samarthan Trust for the disabled, who offer a range of educational and life skill oriented programs for children with disabilities, particularly for weaker socio-economic sections. Brilliant Ashish Goyal, who did his BCom from Mumbai, joined SP Jain Institute Management for his MBA, worked in Treasury Department for bank for 5 years, and scored 760 out of 800 in his GMAT. Got admission to Wharton and is working as an investment banker with one of the world's leading investment bank firms. Not at all. Ashish achieved all this while being 100% blind from the age of 21. Dr. Raghu brings out a perspectives on various leading luminaries to emphasize his points. He cites the example of Dr. Anji Reddy of Dr. Reddy's Lab, of Narayan Murthy of Infosys, the famous athlete Ashwini Nachappa, Mr. G.M. Rao of GMR Group, Dr. P.D.K. Rao, Elabat, etc. The interviews are excellent and bring valuable perspective. There is one chapter dedicated to the importance of reading, which is chapter 9. The author discusses 2 questions that he faced on 2 separate occasions. The first question was for children of successful parents who did not have the reading habit. The question was, if the parents were successful without reading habit, why should the children develop reading habits? Other question was, how can the parents introduce reading habits to among children? As an answer to the first question, the author goes on a discussion on the purpose of education. The author answers to the second question is that parents should be a role model. To put in simple terms, the parents should be a good readers. If parents were already good readers, they would have probably figured out the answer to their questions already. Yatha Raja Tata Praja. Through 14 chapters, this book ends up making parents feel miserable for wanting the best for their children. The greatest paradox is that those parents who really need this book, the sprinters, the people who do not have the reading habits, the people who are so preoccupied in driving their kids, will neither the inclination nor the time to read this book. Most of those who do read this book won't be needing it. This book reinforces the above line of thinking and quotes several examples of average people who achieved extraordinary successes because they were not sprinting the marathon. To me, the key takeaway from the book, number 1, take a long-term view of the life, whether one is a child, a parent, or a professional. Number two, sprint may teach you to how to buy. Marathon will teach how to build. Third, sprint may motivate you to take. Marathon will teach you how to give. Four, sprint may be about how to win. Marathon will probably also how to lose. Learn from your failures. Number five, sprint may be driven by desire to be ahead of others. Marathon is about being ahead of yourself. Six, sprint may make you rich. Marathon will make you a person of substance. Number seven, achievement means different things to sprinters vis-a-vis marathoners. Number eight, achievement in sprint is about winning, whereas in marathon, it may be more about completing the course itself. It is about moving from desire to deservingness. Happy reading. Thank you for very much watching. Happy learning and happy application.